Hey everyone, it's Types, and today I'm super excited to be going over the brand new Pokemon TCG expansion. This one's like actually brand new. No weird confusion between the Japanese release and the international release because this set is releasing simultaneously on Wednesday, September 16th. And this set is really interesting, really exciting, one we've been waiting for to hear about for a little while, and one we got some teasers on before, and that's the 30th anniversary celebration set called 30th Celebration. This is pretty cool. It's going to contain 150 cards after secret rares. It will include 30 classic Pokemon cards, which is just like the expansion celebrations, which is the 25th anniversary celebration. It is very similar to celebrations. There are, I guess, some differences, which we'll kind of take a look at. The main differences are, the actual cards in it, but there are 30 older cards, which we'll take a look at in just a second. They will not be legal for tournament play, it says. Um, I specifically believe it means they will not be legal for like standard play. They will be legal for like expanded, I'm pretty sure, because they are essentially reprints of the older ones, except they have this 30 on them here. So, for example, we see this Pikachu and Zekrom GX here. It's actually gold as well, looking kind of cool there. We look at the original one, I think is here. Yeah. We see it's like not the same color scheme and doesn't have that Pikachu stamp there, which we see on this one. So that's kind of cool. Also, each pack will contain a Pikachu card, one of 30 available. We haven't seen them all in. Oh no, maybe we have seen. We've seen a few in English here. They don't look super good as far as I'm aware. These cards are going to be legal in standard. We see the J regulation mark. Unlike with this Pikachu and Zekrom here, we don't see any regulation mark, or we see a C regulation mark. If you didn't actually know, the regulation mark started with D internationally, but they started with, unsurprisingly, A in Japan. They are the same from Japan to international there. Obviously, like base set Charizard here, you're not going to see a regulation mark there, but we got some cards here which are, I'll just quickly go through the list. Again, these aren't going to be legal for standard. Got this Pikachu from base set, Charizard base set, Misty, Jigglypuff, Steezel. I'm actually not going to read all them out because that's kind of boring, but you can see them here. I'm looking on PokeBeach as well, so you could check them out there or in the video. They were revealed in. Most of these were competitively good cards. I'm not actually sure exactly how good like this Gengar was or these legend cards were, which I believe you can now pull half of a card or half of a Pokemon from a set, which is kind of funny. We see just a bunch of different cards here. None of them are standard legal or are currently in standard. The most recent is this Magikarp here, which is not standard legal. Some of these are expanded legal. For example, N is a card that I think sees some play. I'm not 100% sure if it really sees much play at all because you have Iona there, but you have this body card N, which is kind of cool, and I guess some UV Max I think sees some play in expanded. Also, someone was like, "Hey, you can play these in GLC," which is like technically true, but you can play N in GLC, and you can also play Magikarp, and that's literally the only two available in GLC. The rest aren't legal, and N is good, I guess, and then Magikarp is not good. So, anyways, we have a bunch of different things here. They're kind of cool. Ultimately, I'm not, really diving into them in today's video because they aren't playable. But tell me in the comment section if you want me to like really go over them, rank them, whatever, talk about them more. There are a bunch of really cool cards here, though, and some really fun, really iconic cards. Then we have the actual cards in the set that you can actually play with here. And this set introduces a new rarity called Futuristic Rare. It's really vibrant. We see the Mew EX here. That's not Mew EX. We see Mewtwo EX. We also see a Mew EX. Those are the two revealed so far. I'm not going to lie. So normally I don't really care about arts. I imagine these will look better physically because there's some weird textury stuff here, but it looks really ugly in my opinion. Like, it looks kind of washed out. Again, it could just mostly be the effect, but I really don't like the look of it. Also, we see this like covering up of the energy symbol. It's kind of weird. It almost looks like the energy symbol is an eyeball, and then like the other stuff is an eye. So then, but then it's like so weird with psychics. It's like an eye in an eye. But anyways, the visuals don't really matter. These are functionally just regular cards. So we see Mew EX here, which I'll talk about in a second, and Mewtwo EX. Actually, before those, though, I will go over the other regular cards. We see Hisuian Zora, which isn't good really at all in terms of what it does. We see Lycanroc, which it like hits back based on how much damage it took, but it doesn't have that much HP, so it's probably not really doing anything. And then we see this Drifloon, which is pretty generic. We see Lapras, which is for a supporter or paralyzed on a coin flip, but not very good there. Then we see Umbreon doing more damage if you're knocked out last turn. There was an older Umbreon like this that was, I think, relatively decent, but this one's not very good. You have Sylveon EX doing 50 for each type of basic energy attached to all your Pokemon. Kind of fun there, but it is relatively expensive and not very strong. I mean, at max damage, it's doing 400 if you have the 8 types of basic energy there. I will say in expanded there are 9, but I don't think that really fixes any issue there. But overall, this card is unfortunately not very good. It is each type of basic energy, so you can't attach an Aurora energy or what's the one in standard? Prism energy, there we go. Or like a legacy energy or something, and just attack for 450 or more, I guess, even than that. It doesn't work that way. So you do need a bunch of types of basic energy. There are some weird ways to do it with some older cards and expanded like Ho-Oh EX maybe, but overall this card unfortunately looks kind of bad. They're the most interesting of them we've seen so far. Then we have Espeon. This one devolves all your opponent's evolved Pokemon. This is kind of interesting, but also kind of expensive for the fact that what it does isn't super good. And we've seen some Devolution cards since the rotation of TM Devolution, and they've been bad, unfortunately. Then we have Greninja EX. This is by far the best of the cards other than the Mewtwo EX or the Mew EX. We'll talk about how good those are. The Greninja EX here with 1 water, or first 2 water, does 160. That's not good, I'm not going to lie. You compare this to the current standard Fighting Greninja EX, which does 170 for 1 water, then also searches for any card. That attack is admittedly quite good, so you don't need to be quite as strong as that to be super good. I guess. I mean, Greninja EX is an attacker that isn't like a crazy good attacker, so long story short, 160 for 2 is not very good, though. But then you have Stealthy Slash here for 1 water. You do 30 damage to 1 of your opponent's Pokemon for each damage counter on that Pokemon. Again, these cards are just like regular cards in the set as well. They aren't really references to something older or anything like that. They're just regular cards. And so this, of course, is a Greninja. Also, 300 HP is like a little low there, but this does, again, 30 for each damage counter on it. So it's quadrupling the damage on a Pokemon. Essentially, it is doing damage, so it can be stopped by Shaman. This is specifically interesting within Mega Greninja EX, and I guess also regular Greninja EX, but with Mega Greninja EX, if you use your ability and then you attack them, if you use your ability on the Mega and then you attack them with the True Prizer here, then you're going to be able to do 240 there, which is pretty good. Knocking out like Pheasant EX on the bench or something, it's not crazy broken, but it is pretty decent, and you could use theoretically multiple abilities. You compare this with maybe something like Munkidori, or like, I guess with Frostlass, Dusclops. There's some different options, and I don't think this attack is bad. I think it legitimately will see some play in Standard with the Mega Greninja EX there. It is also not Mega Greninja EX, so it doesn't take up the same like count slot, I guess, as Mega Greninja EX. You could play theoretically for this and 4 of the Mega, or I guess realistically 1 of this, maybe 2 of the fighting one and 2 of the Mega, which is like something I could see happening. I don't know if you do that, but it's possible. And so then you have essentially 5 Greninjas, but you could do that. So overall, this card is okay. It is definitely, I think, the second best of the reveals. The Mewtwo EX we'll take a look at here isn't super good. I don't know. I haven't really looked too much at this card, to be honest. It is a 230 HP basic psychic Pokemon. It is resistant to fighting and weak to darkness, which is a little hard to tell here because of the weird color scheming stuff. But again, mechanically, while it does look different, it does function the same as other cards, other like basic EXs. Then you have Psychic Powers, which is a kind of weird attack name. I mean, I guess it is. I don't know, it just feels a little too on the nose for me, but anyways, with this stack, you do 230, and then you can't attack next turn at all. So that is not super good. But we see attacks like this from time to time. They're not terrible, but they're just, they're not an attack that you're going to build around there. And then we have Photon Bullets for 2 Psychic. You do 50 to each of your opponent's Pokemon EX. This is a little interesting as well, with an interesting-ish spread attack. Overall, I think if there's a deck that could use both of these well, then this card could maybe see some play, but realistically, it's not super good. Yes, Psychic Powers is the better attack, but it's also not, super unique there. And you could, theoretically power this up turn going second. That is possible using Wondrous Patch. Kind of reminds me of Mega Dancy. Mega Dancy is a 3-prizer there, though it is tankier. And Mega Dancy also isn't, super good. It's also played within Gardevoir EX, but It also, I believe, did 4 damage. How much does, or it does more damage? Yeah, it does 10 more, though, just 240. So overall, Mewtwo EX is not a truly terrible card, but not a super good card either. I do think Greninja EX is better. Then, though, we have the coolest reveal here, which is Mew EX. This card is so sick and actually good. Again, the Greninja EX, I think, could see some play. I don't think it's a terrible card, but not a super good card. Also, I will say this is a mini set, or like a special set, so it's not probably going to have too many good cards. We look at actually Celebrations, which, now that I'm looking at this actually is a decent set. Not a super good set, but it's also relatively small in terms of actual standard playable cards. I guess Research is good, but that doesn't really count there. And then you look at, let's see, you're mainly looking at the Mew here as a good setup Pokemon. Mew is by far the best card in the set. You also have Dialga used in Control a little. You have Yveltal using Control a lot. You have Zacian V as a powerful attacking option in Gardevoir. You have, Flying Pikachu VMAX. Yeah, I forgot about that. A World Championship winning deck. Admittedly, just a decent card. Not a crazy good card, but not a bad card either. Then also Kyogre was played some in a Lost Zone variant. I personally didn't like that much, but it was pretty good. And there was some other fun and okay cards like Lunala, and also just some other fun stuff. Not very good. Honestly, Lunala is probably the main one in that category. There's a shocking amount of like pretty decent GLC stuff as well, but that doesn't really matter for this. And of course, you have the older cards, which are also cool. I don't believe there's any overlap between these cards and the cards that were that are going to be in the 30th anniversary celebration set. But or no, I think Charizard is actually in both. I believe that is the only one though. Then we have Mew EX though, which we actually need to talk about because this card is good. The idea is I'm kind of comparing it to the older cards to see how much good stuff we should be expecting from it. Obviously, the standard sets have been recently generally weaker. I think Abyssai is the best of the Mega era other than Mega Evolution itself, which is coming out, or is out in Japan. That's going to be Pitch Black internationally and still isn't a super good set. A lot of high-end cards. But with this set so far, we've just seen a couple of moderately interesting cards, but only moderately interesting. Mew EX, though, long story short, is going to probably be carrying a lot from this set, but I think it might be up to the task. Again, there are still a bunch of cards to see from the set, though. But you have the attack, teleportation burst for one psychic, 30, and you can switch the bench, which is an attack. And then you have the ability, though, Memory Helix, which says this Pokemon can use the attacks of any bench Pokemon, or sorry, any of your bench Pokemon. You still need the energy to use each attack, but this is interesting here. It says for your treat, 1/6 HP, though, on an EX is pretty rough there. It's definitely the biggest issue of this card. This is actually, I believe, yeah, this is the... Yeah, okay, so there's a Mew EX, I believe, like this. There are a bunch kind of similar. There's a Mew from Face Collide. At first, I thought they were the same. That only copies basics. Let me check. I think it might be the Mew EX from... Yeah, it kind of shows way too much stuff as well. Mew EX from the Black and White era. Yeah, from Dragons Exalted. No, this is both yours and your opponent's. Never mind. So I don't know if there's a Pokemon with the exact same ability as this. I'm pretty sure it's, not this versatile one. This one is Mew EX can use the attacks of all Pokemon in play as its own. You still need the necessary energy. Similar idea. This one can't copy your opponent's Pokemon. Admittedly, copying your opponent's Pokemon isn't like super useful. I will say though, this can copy non-basics. The idea of copying basics isn't super good because the basics are Pokemon you could attack with themselves, right? Because they're basics. So this is just an extra piece that probably is just a worse HP attacker. I mean, it could be more HP if it's a multi-prizer, but it's still going to be giving you up now multi-prizes. Or sorry, if it's the Pokemon you're copying is a single prizer, now you're attacking with a multi-prizer, like with just Badoo, I guess. I guess you can, now that I think about this, attack with Badoo. And this also is for your treat. So I think if you're playing this, I haven't really, I've thought about this. I looked at it earlier when it was first revealed. I'm recording this a tiny bit after it was revealed. But yeah, you probably use Badoo with this, right? Badoo is a Pokemon that attacks for free. These Pokemon that attack for free are good because then you don't need energy. And if you don't have energy, there's something to do, just kind of in general. And you're going to be attacking potentially with Mew EX as the main Pokemon in your deck, which is a really interesting idea. overall, I really love copying attackers, but obviously with Budew, you could just use Budew, but now you do have a lot more HP, which is interesting there. There are other Pokemon that are kind of similar. I mean, there are other baby Pokemon. They're not super good, though. Then you look at the different basics, and this has a use case as well with something like, say, Raging Bolt EX. Raging Bolt EX, it's just as easy to power this up as Raging Bolt EX. The only thing that's special about Psychic in terms of powering it up is you could use, I believe the only thing special is Wondrous Patch. Wondrous Patch is, it's like okay, but presumably it's only good on Psychic Pokemon for the most part. But you could do a Wondrous Patch Mew EX Toolbox deck, I guess. I haven't, built this deck obviously, and I haven't like theory crafted a list or anything like that. But again, another use case would be in like Raging Bolt. Obviously, you have a lot less HP than Raging Bolt, right? You have 80 less HP, which is not so good. However, you do have the upside of being Psychic, which does allow you to hit or use Low Clefairy EX to hit weakness on Dragapult EX, which is quite nice. And this, I think, is a relatively big thing because Low Clefairy EX is the main, or one of the main counters to Dragapult EX. Dragapult EX obviously very, very good, and I don't expect that to change with the set Abyssai or with this set. I mean, I don't think this is killing Dragapult. This would allow you, though, to then go ahead and, one-shot Dragapult EX using the energy type that's already in your deck, right? Like Raging Bolt, currently you're putting in Psychic energies. Now you don't have to. You could just play Mew EX, and I think I don't know if that's the right play, but it is an option there. It is interesting. It also kind of reminds me of the older Mew EX in that area where you could attack with that to copy your opponent's attacks and one-shot Dragapult with Lotus Clefairy EX in play, which was kind of cool. Overall, this is still copying your Pokemon, and I mean, you still need the energy on it, so Raging Bolt can still one-shot Dragapult. That is possible, but now it's a lot easier. You just need to discard 3 energy there instead of 5, which is cool. Again, don't know exactly how powerful that is. I think it is something potentially worth doing, and you have a similar idea in other decks as well. Again, this can copy non-basic Pokemon. There's been some in the past that only copy basic, so this does give you the option of copying those. Obviously, they have the issue of you need to get them into play still, right? So, and again, if you are playing them and they are in play, you could just attack with them themselves. This gives you some versatility with your attacking options. I mean, you can power up one Pokemon and have different, options there across different turns, but that's only if you're surviving. You're probably not surviving. Overall, this card is interesting. And I think it is really, really cool and a card I'm super stoked to play with, but it honestly, unfortunately, reminds me a bit of, other than the weakness stuff, which kind of reminds me of like Marshadow GX, which Marshadow GX was decent, but mostly a weakness card there. It reminds me of this Ditto, which copies non-rule box basics in the discard. This copies the Mew EX here, can copy multi-prizers, and that's good, and can copy non-basics as well, but again, they all need to be in play. This card, I think, is really fun, as I said, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section. Any ideas I missed with it? Because, I'm just thinking through in my head. Obviously, I think you have something like Budew. It's your early game. My mind went to like Blood Luna EX. I was like, no, that's terrible because you don't get the ability. So you Pokemon that have good attacks. Theoretically, a Pokemon with a good attack and a bad ability. Trying to think of cards with bad abilities, and I can't really think of them, like actively detrimental ones. There are a handful. There's like Palafin EX. Palafin EX, though, the ability stops you from putting it into play. So maybe some ability that stops it from attacking. And I'm trying to think through in my head cards like that that are like actually reasonable. And there's like Slacking EX that's not really reasonable. That's a stage 2. And with that, you just want to have like the high HP and stuff like that. So overall, I think Mew EX is a really, really interesting card here. One that I legitimately do think we'll see some play. I think if it was legitimately good, it'd be like super fun. I was recently, I believe in my video yesterday, talking about the card Mewtwo Tag Team GX. That card is really interesting, being like super versatile and a really fun toolbox deck. I think Mew EX could be a toolbox deck. I don't think it will be. I think it will be a tech card. Does have free retreat, though again, it is a very substantial liability. 160 HP on a basic EX is pretty bad. I mean, we have basic EXs out here with like 240. That's not like normal. Normally you're looking at like 210. This is 50 less than that. So overall, this card is pretty interesting. I think it's more interesting than it is good, but I think it is still decent, and I do expect to see some play. I think if anyone says this card's like broken, they're just like probably lying, but probably lying to themselves a little to hype themselves up, which I kind of am too. I might be. I hope I'm not. I hope this card's good and fun. But overall, it is definitely, I think, fun. But I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell. That really helps support me and the channel. It does legitimately mean a lot to me as well. And also huge shout out to my YouTube members for supporting the channel. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.